the GFD, but digital, right? We've been saying that for 8 years, that digital can and will change the world. And it shows through this difficult time that we had that we can still carry on as usual, or just about. So I just want to start with a video showing today who are the Margaret, the woman who has been chosen by the jury, but also the woman that was part of the selection that we presented to the jury. 10 people, very expert on the subject, met to meet around those celebration of those women. We received over 340 people who applied for it. Thank you so much for everyone who applied to the Margaret Award in Africa and in Europe. It's so important to carry on all your work, and we're celebrating you anyway. So no further ado, I'm going to let the video play, and so you can see all our Margarets.
This year we have very, very inspiring women who change the world, and this prize is only to put them forward and to show them to the world that women matters. C'est des projets incroyables, c'est des projets audacieux, innovants. Bravo à toutes ces femmes.
On sent vraiment qu'elles sont capables de changer le monde, qu'elles ont besoin de coups de pouce, qu'elles ont besoin de nos regards et qu'elles ont besoin d'être valorisées, mais que le potentiel, elles l'ont vraiment.
On a vu aujourd'hui des Margaret passionnantes qui sont vraiment engagées au cœur de leur société, qui ont un impact formidable.
So thank you all the partners. A warm. Thank you, Laura, and all the team at the Bureau who are behind the stage here to make this happen, this live happen, that we are in this at the same time on Twitter and Facebook to celebrate those women. So congratulations again to you all, and we are very, very excited to present you to the world today and to have some time with you and to learn about your background and how digital has changed your work and is about to change the world. I wanted again to really thank our godmother, Nathalie Collin, for Europe, and Louise Mouchique-Wabo, who is our godmother for Africa as well, Nathalie Collin from Groupe La Poste, and Louise Mouchique-Wabo, the General Secretary of Organisation Internationale de la Francophonie. Thank you so much for your kindness, for your support. It's very important that we have you on along with us and really supporting project of entrepreneur. I would like to invite on stage Victoria Pagnon, who is the Startup Community Leader, French IoT program for the Groupe La Poste, who is taking over Nathalie Collin, who unfortunately couldn't be with us today because of all the situation that we're all facing, and the Groupe La Poste is really helping for the country to carry on and for the economy to keep going. So I know she's extremely busy, Nathalie, and all the team that she works with, Mario Dubanché and all the team. So a special warm thank you for you, Nathalie, and for Louise Mouchique-Wabo as well. And Victoria Pagnon is going to join us, and very quickly as well, we're going to have Karim Si, who is the president of Digital Africa. So Victoria, please join me on stage.
Hi everyone. Hi. Good evening. Indeed, as you said, I'm representing Nathalie Collin, the Executive Vice President in charge of the digital branch and communication of La Poste, and sponsor of the Digital Women's Day 2020. Nathalie, as you said, also has a very tight agenda these days. She deeply regrets not being able to join us tonight. So she asked me to express to you her warmest greetings, but also her encouragements during this unprecedented health crisis. I'm also delighted to participate in this event and celebrate women who are changing the world, and very honored to represent La Poste Group and contribute to make this partnership work through all the actions we are carrying out with you, Delphine and Laura and all the team. As you know, La Poste has been supporting entrepreneurs for more than a decade. We believe that we have to act together with startups and other parties sharing the same values to meet tomorrow's greatest challenges. And now, more than ever, I don't know, I'm not, I don't have the camera.
Yeah, don't worry, carry on, Victoria,
okay.
We'll come back
so,
up.
So, as we said, and now more than ever, we will put all our energy to help entrepreneurs get through this hard period. That's why we will be launching very soon, in the upcoming days, the 6th edition of the French IoT program as a sign of a rebound from this crisis. And French IoT is La Poste's open innovation program that connects startups and corporations to accelerate the development of game-changing connected solutions with a positive impact on our society. 15 entrepreneurs will benefit from our 6-month accelerator program. They will be able to follow sessions and workshops with experts, have business connections with French IoT partners and VCs to boost their projects and bring their startups to the next level. And because parity doesn't wait, the 2020 French IoT edition is 100% committed and focused to support women entrepreneurs. Our goal, thank you. Our goal is to reach gender parity among winners, echoing our commitment and the manifesto we have signed alongside the major French and international groups for an inclusive digital world. So stay tuned and follow us on Twitter and LinkedIn to learn more about the program. And last but not least, I warmly congratulate all the nominees and the winners of Les Margarettes 2020. And my word for them is, ladies, you are changing the rules of the game. You are acting for gender parity and digital inclusion and leading the way for women entrepreneurs in Europe and Africa. So we wish you all best of luck and great of success. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Victoria. It means a lot, you know, for all those entrepreneurs in the world to feel that they're supported by large enterprise, and having Nathalie Collin, as you said, that she was with us at the Ministry of Finance back in March, where we had the manifesto for an inclusive world, for a more digital inclusive world, and she's been a very strong role model for all of us. And she often said, "Go on, ladies, digital needs you." And so it's important that we have this message. So thank you so much.
Thank you also for all the actions you are holding all the year. It's really great to make gender parity, and good luck for all the women who will dare to go in business worldwide. Thank you.
Definitely. And I think, you know, while the next speaker is getting ready on stage, you know, you mentioned Dare, Victoria, and I want to say this message from Margaret Hamilton. She gave it to us for today, for all the Margaret, and I want to share that with you. She says, never let fear get in the way Don't be afraid to continue, even when the so-called experts say it is impossible. Don't be afraid to stand alone, to be different, to be wrong, to make and admit mistakes. For only those who dare to fail greatly can ever achieve greatly. So thank you so much, Margaret Hamilton, for sharing that with us today. And I would love to invite Anastasia Mikova, who has received the special prize of the jury in 2020. Anastasia Mikova, who is the co-director of the film Woman, that at GFD in 2017 at the Cité de la Mode et du Design in Paris, she launched for and represent for the very first time the film Woman. And so we really happy to have you, Anastasia. And I think, you know, having you as a special jury prize means a lot for women all around the world. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Actually, just before coming in here, I was checking the video of our presentation, you know, at La Journée de la Femme Digitale 3 years ago, and I looked so young.
No, you know, in few years you don't. We always look always young, you know, when we love what we do, and
right.
you're always beautiful, Anastasia, in and out.
Thank you so much, and thank you for this award. And actually, I think the idea is so incredible to have like a special award for women who try to change the world in the digital media. And even though I'm not specifically like working in the digital media, but what I have seen through working on the film Woman is that digital clearly has an incredible impact on women's lives all around the world. So I think that putting that into the light is really an important thing to do.
Definitely. And you know, Anastasia, I'd like you to share with everyone here who you are. There was an article in Le Figaro who said that you are the Wonder Woman of Yann Arthus Bertrand, but I think you are the Wonder Woman full stop, right? Not of everyone, but
true. It's true that, well, it's true that it has been like around 12 years that I've been working with Yann Arthus Bertrand on different projects, and but it's the very first time we are really co-directing a film together. And quite often in the media they would say, yeah, the Wonder Woman of, or the woman who directed the film with, but I'm just a woman doing my job, you know. I don't need to be associated to a different name, to another name to exist. So I have been doing my job being a director for over like 15 years. And I'm really proud of the last film we did, clearly co-directed with Yann Arthus Bertrand, and for which we have interviewed 2,000 women all around the world in 50 different countries. So it's like a massive project we did for the last 4 years. And so, well, I'm happy I'm here with it.
Yeah, and so you mentioned you interviewed 2,000 women, which is enormous. I mean, it must have been taking, you know, so long, and also it's been, you know, to interview someone, you need to be empathic. You need to, you know, to really, right, you know, take all those women are going through sometimes wonderful things and sometimes very difficult things as well. Yeah. So I'm guessing, you know, this has been a long work as well, you know, for yourself. In those 2,000 interviews, you know, which of those témoignages you remember the most, and what did they bring to you? I know it's difficult to highlight one more than others. It's all of them together that brings the power of women. But perhaps maybe you can share some highlights of those interviews.
It's true that you have to imagine that our project is a very different kind of documentary. It's not like a linear story, you know, where you have just one story. You have thousands of women talking, and many of them, most of them, were talking in front of the camera for the very first time in their lives. And they were talking about topics which are so intimate. And so you can't go into very personal topics like that, you know, in 5 or 10 minutes of conversation. We took for 2-3 hours of interview with every of these women, and what they have shared was so crazy and was so strong that actually all of them remained with me. And it's funny because, you know, when I see just a picture of a woman, and I have been interviewing really hundreds of them all around the world, I can tell you just in a few seconds who this woman is, where she comes from. Whereas, you know, the people with whom I studied, I can't even remember half of them. But all of these women I can remember because the stories were so amazing. But I think one of the maybe most important stories for me was the story which is actually opening the film. This is why actually it's the first one to talk. And I think what's interesting about this story is that her name is Norma. And when I met her, it was like at a very at a great conference, a little bit like what you do with, you know, hard women, very strong leaders. And she came in and she looked so strong and so, you know, impressive. And I thought, wow, we would all like to be like her. And then she started to tell her story and it was horrible. And I thought, wow, we would not like to be like her. And she actually went through child abuse when she was a little girl. She was abused by her grandfather. And then when she became a teenager, she ended up in a horrible sexual trafficking, you know, situation in Japan because she was trying to escape her horrible life with her family, and she accepted that contract. And then it wasn't a modeling contract as it was, you know, promised to her, but it was like a sexual exploitation. And then finally she could go back home. She married, she moved to Canada, and she had a child, and she was so happy. And finally she could start a new life. And then her child was diagnosed with a horrible sickness, and she was becoming blind. And so that was too much for her, and she started drinking. But then one day she thought, no, I can't do that, you know, because I have this child and I have a responsibility. And instead of drinking, she put a pair of sneakers on and she went for a run. And she became one of the greatest athletes of all time. She's even in the World Guinness Book for the longest triathlon ever done. But what she says in the film is that the most difficult for her was to stand on stage while she was already recognized as a strong and, you know, this impressive athlete, and to say that she was not only that, but she was also through violence. She was also through sexual violence, you know, trafficking. Because once you say it, you have to live with it your whole life. And she said, we often say victims have no voice. We do have a voice. You just don't want to hear us. And for me, the message of our film is maybe a broader message. We often say that women have no voice, but we do have a voice. Just hear us.
Definitely. We have so many voices. And what's her name? What's the name of this amazing woman?
Her name is Norma Bastidas, and she's actually now quite a famous athlete, you know, all around the world.
Well, congratulations to her. And you know, thank you, Anastasia, for sharing that with the world, because it helps so much to know that even if you went through something very difficult, you can still make it to the finish line of a long run and achieve something. And it's so amazing that you are, you know, so right indeed. Victims can, you know, have a voice and they can become something else than just victims. And I think that's important. And perhaps, you know, you were a journalist. You work with Marie Claire. You work with Le Figaro. And you know, when you mention women have voices, we can see very recently that women just didn't exist from front page cover to, you know, to talk about the afterworld, etc., etc. And I think it's important to show that. And how has digital helped you to enhance this message? Because, you know, you're very active on social media, and you are very much digital woman as well. And how digital has helped? Yeah.
It's really interesting because there are two things, actually. The first thing, I think that this film is actually possible thanks to the digital world and thanks to the social media, because I'm quite often asked, like, how come women speak out now and they didn't maybe 20 years, you know, ago? And what happened is that while I was working on my previous film, which is called Human, for which we have already with Jan traveled all around the world and met a lot of different people, I really realized something was going on. Women would come to me and tell me, I want to share my stories. In countries where 10 years ago, 15 years ago, no woman would be ready to talk in front of the camera. And what I realized that all of these women now in the most remote area of Bangladesh, they don't have access to clean water, they don't have access to electricity, but they all have a mobile phone and access to internet. and they want to be your friend on Facebook. You know, it's like completely crazy. You go there and there is nothing, and they want to go on Facebook. And what happens is that for many of these women, there kind of came a realization that a different kind of life was possible, and that a different kind of life existed. And this realization came through the digital world and came through access to the social media, because finally they could access to this life, and they could see that, you know, beyond their small village and beyond the frontiers of their very small world that they only knew, there was a different world. And many women told me that they were ready to speak out and to share their stories, even though it may bring problems to their lives, because they don't want their children, their daughters, to reproduce what they have been reproducing. And so I think the impact of the digital and of social media in that is incredible. And for us specifically, as a movie, you know, the film was released not even, like 8 days before the self-isolation started. And so it was released worldwide, and then everything stopped. And at first we were really frustrated, like, what can we do? How do we keep that connection we created with the audience all over the world? And then we thought, okay, now we live in a different times. And we thought a little bit like you, like, how can we use this new media, the Instagram Live, the Facebook Live, you know, all of these new platforms, the Zoom, to connect all of these women and to show all the incredible stories we're lucky to hear and to put in the film in a different way during this time of self-isolation, and continue to connect people. And for this, digital is, I think, like a key.
Definitely. And I think, you know, we're talking about physical distancing, not social distancing. And social media and digital has shown that we can still be connected and have a voice, right, and enhance our voice because of all digital platform. So perhaps maybe the last question, Anastasia, and we let the next award, Margaret 2020, coming up on stage. In terms of parity, because obviously, you know, we talk about equality, and this is something that is very important for GFD to work on ensuring that because of digital, we're going to achieve equality before 2120, 100 years from now. Do you think digital will help accelerate that equality in the world? With all those interviews that you have been going through, you know, in your sense, what will help equality amongst, you know, all the other action that we're facing? And do you see that women are ready for that change to happen?
Oh, yes. Women are 100% ready. And it's true that, you know, before we did today's session, we sent me some questions for, you know, like a general, and the last one, like, what do you think about 2120, the year the parity should be achieved? And I was like, what can I think about it? I can't even think about it. It's too far, you know, and I don't want to wait for that long. And I think most women don't want to wait for that long anymore. And I think the question of visibility is really a key issue. And as you were saying, in the main media, in the classic like media, maybe television and even press, etc. However, there's still a lack of visibility for women, and there's still a lack of putting women into life and giving voices to women. Women are there, but they are just not visible. They're not put into life. Whereas in the digital world, I think there are much more opportunities for women. And actually, we were lucky to find a lot of the women we interviewed through the different, you know, platforms and different connections. And when I see even the groups that are created when where women gather to, you know, to feel stronger and to feel that they're not alone, and women from all around the world gather in those groups and exchange and, you know, try to bring change. And I feel that the digital work for this and for giving visibility to women is really very important. And it's also creating that link maybe between a lot of women who beforehand felt isolated in their small world, trying to fight on themselves.
Thank you so much, Anastasia. I could just carry on talking for ages, and we will have some time with you further. Just your actuality is, your news is Woman, the movie that, as you said, came out 5 days before the confinement. We were supposed to be all together at La Maison de la Radio today, and we were going to show the film Woman. So tell us about what's going to be the next step and how we're going to be able to see Woman.
So we are working. So the film will be back on big screen as soon as cinemas reopen. So, well, unfortunately, we don't still have the date, but we are working with our distribution to make that happen and to offer that possibility for people who didn't have the time over that, 8 or 9 days when it was in the cinemas to see it. But we are also working because now in France, actually, you have this special possibility for the films that were released just before, during self-isolation, to get access to VOD. And so we asked for that permission so that maybe in parallel, we may be able to put the film on VOD, and so the people can also watch it online on different platforms. So we are waiting for a response for that, but we are really trying to make it happen.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful, Anastasia. This is amazing. I can't wait. So do you think you will be able to interview those Margaret for the next Woman, the 3rd edition of Woman, all the ones that we're going to be seeing just after you, they come
We have already interviewed some the year, when we came to present the film, and it was the very beginning of our shooting. So among our very first interviewees, we already had some of the Margaret, and it was really great to see all of these young women fighting, so passionate about there. And I would be more than happy for Woman 2 to have the new one.
Oh, thank you. You did at the Cité de la Mode et Design, at the 5th edition of the GFD. Right. You had Joséphine Good from Tech Fugees that I say hi to because she was interviewed with you. Roxana Verza, Margaret Entrepreneur of the Year 2017 that you also interviewed in the film Woman. So it's a real hope that we're gonna be having a new and wonderful world because women are so ready. And thank you, Anastasia, for giving them this voice. So I'm going to pass on to the next duo live here, and give you a huge kiss and hug, and I hope we can have some champagne very soon. I will after this live for sure, and I will cheers with every one of you. So I'm going to invite live Marjorie Paillon, that's my wonderful Marjorie that I'm so delighted to see. So from France 24. Hi, Marjorie. How are you today?
Well, I'm doing great, actually. And yep, women are definitely ready. And thank you so much, Delphine, for this amazing opportunity to have an online reunion for the GFD and the Margaret Awards over there. And it's my great pleasure to actually be introducing to you the Margaret Entrepreneur Europe 2020 Award. In only 5 years, she has taken literally the world of civic tech by storm with her plug-and-play platform, Citizen Lab. She's giving a voice, and she's giving actually a place to have a direct say for citizens around 10 different countries, working hand in hand with 125 local governments. Let's dive into what e-democracy means in 2020 with Aline Mouliert. Aline, we're joining you in Brussels, in Belgium, actually. Congratulations to you. I have to say, I literally fell in love with your platform and initiative when I was diving into what Citizen Lab actually meant. So what's your first reaction to this award, and what does it mean to be a female entrepreneur in Europe nowadays?
Hello everyone. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Of course, the first reaction is always being very, very, very honored, and a bit shocked and not really believing it. But I think today, actually, the opportunities for female entrepreneurs are really there. I think empowered women need to empower other women. So that's also what the Margaret is all about. And I think that's also great that that's why it's existing. So that's what I try to also do myself. So I think, with this award, I want to empower women that I know. I want to empower people in my team, women in my team, to show that it's actually possible, that there are many opportunities out there, that they need to believe in themselves, and also just show that you're very vulnerable, that you're making mistakes, but that doesn't mean that you're not doing great things.
Exactly. Being human is actually being a woman, believe it or not. So it's not the only thing you actually figured out over the past 5 years, because when it comes to civic tech itself, you've pretty quickly identified the right scale to actually have e-democracy being efficient and happening. And this is definitely local government scale. And
Yeah.
we're supposed to be global citizens nowadays. But do we have the very same common ground when it comes to taking governments and elected officials accountable?
I think we work mainly with local governments because that's the level that is closest to citizens, and we actually try to rebuild trust from citizens in government. So that's why we work with so many local governments. We work in different countries, like in Belgium, in Europe, the Netherlands, France, but also in Chile. And I think there are, of course, in every country, many different topics. Like, for instance, in Chile, we worked on the corruption in fall, and we organized a big referendum. Of course, in France, there were the Gilets jaunes that was all about inequality in societies. Climate is a topic that comes up very often. But what I think we see in every country we work with on every level is that civic tech needs to be meaningful. It needs to be about what citizens actually care about. So we need to allow, or we are trying to give them a platform to raise their voices and try to work more from the bottom up. And that actually approach is the easiest with local governments because they're so close to their citizens.
In bottom up, we do trust. Now, we've been witnessing the fact that this COVID-19 crisis is a huge accelerator when it comes to digital transformation. And I guess it's the very same thing when it comes to civic tech itself. What are the initiatives you've been actually able to bring to the table so far when it comes to hacking the crisis?
Yeah, so what we try to do, first of all, is supporting all the local governments in crisis communication with their citizens. So I think there's what can we do today, all these offline meetings, how can we bring them online, etc. But then, of course, there's what we can do today and what we need to do tomorrow. And we also see that governments start thinking gradually about, okay, this actually means that we will reshape local democracy in months, years from now. So as you say, there's a big push, and so they're thinking about like using digital tools for local decision making. So it's actually a great push, and we're trying to help them today, but also push them to change things for tomorrow. So that's what we're trying to do.
And it's definitely a great objective when you think about the long-term type of question.
Yeah.
When it comes to civic tech. But if we do think and zero in or narrow in more in today's controversy, there's a huge question, popping up in every single citizen's head when it comes to contact tracing. Actually, contact tracing app could be very effective tools when it comes to tracking the pandemic, but they do raise a lot of questions when it comes to privacy. And I know it's also one of your concerns when it comes to civic tech.
Yeah, definitely. I think we need to really, start from how our democracies are built, and civic tech is actually digitalizing that. So we need to look at, okay, how do we as individuals value our freedom, and how do we actually compare that to privacy? So I think that's where we need to start from. And what's really great is that today actually governments are debating privacy issues, because all of a sudden it becomes very tangible. And so that's what we actually need, because technology is never neutral. It's about how you design it, the biases you might be having. So that's great that today we're actually having that debate.
Absolutely. And this debate actually is going to be taking place on Monday and Tuesday at the French Parliament, which just for the sake of it. Now, I have a lot of questions for Aline, as you can see it, but if you want to address one question to Aline yourself, please do it on every single platform where you can actually follow us, and I'd be more than happy to actually address your question to Aline during this live stream. There's also a very important topic when you think about it. It's from this online to offline politics. Should we aim at a more inclusive strategy or a more inclusive politics in the making, whatever tools we're actually using?
Yeah, I think that's actually the biggest challenge today. Like, how can we make also online as inclusive as possible? In general, we believe strongly in the combination of online and offline, but that's unfortunately not possible today. So how can we think of tools for making the barrier even lower? I mean, moving beyond text, working with videos, etc., trying to also address citizens in their own language. So I think there are many, many ideas today, but we can't build civic tech and digital democracy if we don't address the issue of inclusiveness. So that's, I think, really, really key. And we need to discuss also these, solutions together.
And being probably a little ironic here, would you say that thinking in the first place about inclusivity at core when it comes to technology is purely something more feminine when you think about it? Like, female leaders would definitely think fast about how technology can be inclusive to make it happen.
Yeah, I think, of course, there are also, I mean, I find it always a bit hard to generalize, but I think it's true that or that women might like easier think about being, I mean, having everyone on board, making sure it's understandable for everyone. We also see that in our team that women tend to take these topics. So yeah, I think it's great also if we have female leaders, because they might think of it sooner. So yeah, definitely, it's I think also great to have, and that's also why it's so important to have women in tech, because they will also think about these questions before moving like further. And it's about addressing these biases that you're not really aware of. So often I think men maybe are less aware of these biases we have, or I mean, it's not only gender biases, but it's also, I mean, biases in terms of your, I mean, social demographic background, etc. So that's why I think we need to have inclusivity and diversity, not only on the gender scale, but also on all the other scales.
So true. Out of the blue type of question that is going to conclude our interview here. If you had to think about one tech sector that could actually be the Margaret Entrepreneur Europe 2021 award, what sector would you think about? Of course, we're experiencing this sanitary crisis, which is huge to tech right now. So it could be about deep tech, about med tech. What do you think? What's your guess?
Yeah, I think, I mean, of course, today we're all thinking about health tech, but I mean, that's something that is also happening. But I think the real key to becoming more diverse and inclusive is education. So if we can address the issue of, I mean, having citizens and I mean, pupils learning from school, if we can try to be there also as inclusive as possible, I think education and edtech is a really, I mean, exciting technological sector.
Let's bet on edtech. Thank you so much, Aline, and congratulations again on your award here at Margaret Entrepreneur Europe 2020. It was really my pleasure to be with you today. And now we're going to move on to another continent where innovation is actually happening. Africa is making history when it comes to innovating. To learn more about the Margaret Entrepreneur Africa 2020, we're about to be joined, Delphine, by Dunia Ben Mohamed, the president of Africa News Agency, and Jacqueline Mukarukundo. I'm so sorry, I'm totally ripping your name off here. She's the co-founder of Waste Zone. And of course, we're going to be tackling another tech sector.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Marjorie. And again, congratulations, Aline. You're really inspiring a whole generation here to carry on. And I think, civic tech is so important. And if we had that for what we had the election not long ago, perhaps maybe that will have been different from now on. But we're gonna have, and thank you so much, Marjorie. We just, and I see you soon. And we're gonna have a change of duo now, because we're having some issue with getting Jacqueline, who's joining from Rwanda. So we're gonna have the wonderful Fatoumata Wan from France 24 with our Margaret of Honor, Afua Ose, from She Leads Africa. So the stage is yours, lady, because you are just amazing, and I'm so happy to have you, and really congratulations, Afua. You are a Margaret of Honor 2020. Hi, and following Rebecca Enonchong from last year, you are part of the universe of Les Margaret, and you're just such an inspiring and powerful woman. And what you're doing in Africa is just so amazing, and we really wanted to highlight this and to give you this award of honor, the jury. And again, I thank the jury here while Fatimata is getting ready to come on stage for having chosen all this wonderful project. And I know Karim C is from Digital Africa, who was part of the jury, supposed to be joining us, but we're having a live moment here. So Fatimata is getting ready. She's about to join. She's just amazing, and you see she was with us in Senegal, in Dakar, and you remember Afua?
Yes, indeed.
So how are you feeling today? How are you, and how does it feel to be awarded of being a Margaret of Honor 2020?
Well, I feel so grateful for the opportunity to, of course, do the work that I do every day, but also to be recognized on such a global and prominent scale for what we're trying to do to help young African women find success. In Senegal last year, there were so many incredible entrepreneurs, innovators, creatives, and what I loved the most was the passion. It didn't matter what sector everyone was in, everyone was passionate about change, everyone was passionate about empowering and supporting women, and everyone was using their creativity, their knowledge, and technology to change their world. So to be recognized within a community that is doing that, it's such an incredible honor.
Yeah, well, thank you, Afua. You're such a role model, and you're bringing with you all those women who now believe that they can, they can do it, and it's not impossible. I love this phrase from Audrey Hepburn. She used to say, in impossible, there is I am possible. And,
yes.
And you're definitely showing that. So that's just wonderful. So, and it's so good to see you after this first edition that we had in Dakar, in Senegal. And I had such an amazing experience with all of you ladies, and tell us about what's happening in Africa for entrepreneurship.
Yes, so right now people are having to be creative. I think naturally as entrepreneurs here, we are aware of the challenges, and our success is measured by our ability to navigate around the challenges. So now those challenges have just been amplified, and they've been taken bigger on a global scale. So what I know is that many entrepreneurs are taking a step back. They're trying to think about where are they now, what are the roadblocks in front of them, as well as what are the opportunities for success, because that's also important, is that while there are challenges in every single area of difficulty, there are ways that we can step up, there are ways that we can be of service to our community, there are ways that our businesses can add value to others. So while it's definitely challenging, what entrepreneurs are doing is they're just trying to be careful. Of course, like any good entrepreneur, saving money because we don't know when things are going to get better, but also just keeping our eyes open to say, what can we do during this really critical time to be of service as well?
Yeah, well, so we're having, thank you for that, Afua. It's great to hear all of this, and we're having Fatimata. One is having some issue here, so I'm just going to invite Marjorie Payon. You know her. You were interviewed in this wonderful setting in our lovely hotel at the Pullman near the sea, if I remember.
Right.
So Marjorie is going to take over and carry on this interview, if that's okay with you, Marjorie.
Well,
Yes.
actually, Delphine, we're still waiting for Fatty to be able to.
Yes.
And I know she was just so, hoping to have a talk with Afua. But Afua, yeah, I do remember our great panel last June in Dakar with so many other incredible female leaders in Africa. And I do remember also the conversation we had for Tech 24, our show on France 24, where we actually were trying to understand the way we can build a more Pan-African, across Africa type of initiatives when it comes to be a female leader. And that's what really struck me at the time when I was discussing with you the fact to be a female leader in Africa, that you have to think first about the way to bring together initiative across the continent, right?
Yes, absolutely. I still get emails today about that interview that we did in Dakar. So I think everyone has seen it all across the continent. People have seen it. And what I know for sure is that we're better in community. We are stronger. We're able to move faster. We have better ideas. It's great to see you, Fatty. It's good to see you. And so for us, community is so important. Whether someone's in Dakar, Nairobi, Joburg, how can we bring people together like we're doing today to showcase what's possible?
I know you're getting 3 interviews, so you're the lucky one.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Marjorie. And I just want to say hi, Fatimata, and the stage is yours. Go, ladies.
I'm so sorry. We had
no worries. Carry on.
First thing for me. It's brand new.
The stage is yours. Thanks, Marjorie.
So, thank you, Marjorie. We just shown how good with the team we are, in France 24. Thank you. So Afua, I'm so happy. I want to thank everyone for joining the conversation. Hope everyone is safe, during this, crazy times, the coronavirus outbreak. We know that it can be difficult those times. So we are so glad, so happy that people can join this conversation. I know that you have already started, so you have to say a little bit of how do you feel receiving this special award. So I just want to say that you are amazing. All your journey so far is amazing. So I have a lot of questions regarding Africa, and especially how you empower women in the continent. So you were born and raised in the US. You're from Nigeria. You have managed to, thrive a global career. You work for the First Lady Michelle Obama. It's pretty amazing. Eh? And a digital platform, She Leads Africa. I will, I want to know a lot about it, of course. So, so let me just tell us more about your journey. How did you get there? How? Tell us how.
I'll be honest with you, who knows, right? I think that's the beauty of our journey, is that each step takes us to a new level and a new opportunity. I think the common thread across the board is that I've always had a desire to help women find success, whatever it looks like for them. And initially for me, it actually was politics. I worked in politics, I worked in communications, I worked on a variety of political campaigns because I saw the power of politics. And when I hear young people saying, I'm not gonna vote, or I don't care, I get so concerned because those are the people that are making decisions that really impact our livelihoods. And then from politics, I went to media as a strategy consultant, and I enjoyed working for companies and governments all across Africa, helping them solve big problems. And the same thing, they're coming up. I was seeing a lack of women in senior leadership. And then when I decided to start my own business, which is in the media, I said, how can we do a better job in showcasing opportunities for women, in highlighting those women who are doing it well, and for connecting them directly to opportunities. So I think all along I was supposed to end in this place. It just took a couple of twists and turns to get me here.
Yeah, so we all do the same thing pretty much. But then my question is, so you were born in the US and you decided to move in 2013 in Nigeria to work for McKinsey & Company. Tell us what motivated your decision at that time, and what did you learn from that experience working in Africa? You then decided you stayed there afterwards. So Tell us why. What motivated your decision at the time?
Yes. So what I experienced during business school is I would go to these recruiting events. I was looking at consulting in the US. I would go to these recruiting events. I was looking at companies, and I knew that I would be the only one. I'd probably be the only young Black woman in the office or on a team. And there's a burden that comes from being the only one and having people's expectations on you. So I had a chance to do a summer internship in Lagos. And when I went there that summer, I was blown away. I met so many smart young Africans who were excited about the future. They were excited about the opportunities that Africa had to offer, and they were excited about what they could do with their own skills and their knowledge and their expertise to change their countries. These are people from Ghana to Tanzania to Zimbabwe to Morocco. Everyone was really focused on how can we do what we can to make this place better. And I love that community aspect. I love that energy and that enthusiasm. And I knew I wouldn't have that same experience if I had stayed in the US and I had that traditional corporate path. When it comes to what I learned, I think the most important thing is sometimes you have to leave. The greatest reward can come from the greatest risk. I left my entire family in the US. I didn't know anybody in Lagos. I was just going for a job. And so that was a very big risk personally and professionally, but it's such a transformational experience for me. I always, whenever I talk to other young people who are like, oh, should I move? Should I move? Should I move back to Africa? I say, go if you're ready to change your life. It's not going to be like France, not going to be like the US, it's not going to be like the UK. Go if you're ready to have a really transformational experience that can create a lot of impact. And it's been absolutely wonderful for me.
Yeah, for sure. It's not going to be somewhere else. It's definitely a special place to be and to work for. So basically, you empower women in digital. Could you tell us why is it so important, first of all?
Yeah. Well, we believe that regardless of who you are, who you know, and where you live, you should have access to information, resources, and opportunities to help you find success. Many times when you're looking for a job or you're looking for people to invest in your business, it's, oh, come out to this networking event. Or, oh, who's your uncle that can help you out and give you that hookup? But we know that for many young women, maybe you don't come from that lifestyle or that background, or perhaps cultural expectations means that's not appropriate for you. So our desire and the beauty of digital is that we could provide services and opportunities to women in Nairobi, the same way in Dakar, the same way in Abidjan, the same way in Lagos, the same way in Johannesburg, and really create this Pan-African community of women who are focused on success. And if we support them in their professional success, that will create more economic opportunities for them in leadership, in their community, and help the changes can be, far-reaching. And so we realized we were doing a lot of events in person, and the only way we were going to have the kind of impact that we wanted to have was if we transitioned into a fully digital platform and focused on reaching people all across the continent.
Yeah, sure. So let's try to be more specific. How do you help them? Let's say I have a project in digital trying to succeed in Africa. How your platform could help me?
Sure. So the beautiful thing about us is that we provide digital content for free. So anybody can visit our website, sheleadsafrica.org. They can read interviews from women who are in their field or in their country, sharing their journey, sharing their expertise. They can get access to video lessons where we do these webinars where people are sharing, this is how I got through it. These are the questions that I can give you answers to. We also have webinars and toolbooks, and we share opportunities every single week. So we're a resource and we're a guide for people to come to get the information that they're looking for.
Exactly. That's amazing. Thank you for all this information. I would spend a lot of hours with you talking because I have a lot of questions. But I think Delphine is popping up because I think the other people are in line. So maybe we need to pass the platform to someone else. But thank you.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations for your award, this special award, this Margaret of Honor. And this is so well deserved. So congratulations.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Fatimata.
Thank you.
Kiss.
Thank you.
Thank you, Afua, and we see you soon. Yeah, go ladies.
Yes.
Thank you, and delighted. So we have other Margaret are going to join us live today. So bear with us until the end. We have 3 other Margaret that are coming. We have the Margaret entrepreneur in Africa. We're going to have the Margaret entrepreneur of Europe that is going to join us after that. And we have the Margaret entrepreneur of Africa, who's still having some issue in Rwanda. So with no further ado, I'm going to introduce Dominique Timbalaka from TV5 Monde and Vanessa Mungar, who is our Margaret Entrepreneur of the Year for Africa. And she's the Director of Gender, Women and Civil Society Department for the African Development Bank. So Vanessa, congratulations. We spoke a few days ago and I've been following you and all you've been doing, and you're such an inspiring woman. So congratulations. And Dominique, it's over to you.
Hello, everybody. It's my pleasure to introduce to you an African woman with a brilliant career. She grew up between France and Chad. And as far as she can remember, she has always dreamed of one thing: participating in the transformation of Africa. After studying in France, she told me, then a master's degree at Harvard, she first worked in New York City before arriving at the well-known World Economic Forum, Switzerland, when she was in charge during 5 years of public-private partnerships. 3 years ago, she moved to Abidjan, Ivory Coast, when she heads the Gender, Women and Civil Society Department. Last but not least, she is also a member of the Presidential Council for Africa of French President Emmanuel Macron. I am pleased to introduce Vanessa Mungar, Entrepreneur Margaret of the Year. Hello, Vanessa.
Hello, Dominique, and hi everyone.
Hi. Maybe a first question, Vanessa. When preparing this interview, you told me that at the beginning you were not exactly a specialist of digital. Have you always been convinced that digital is a huge opportunity for Africa, especially for women in youth?
Thank you very much, Dominique, and thank you all. And let me just take this opportunity to thank the jury and say it's very humbling. And thanks for creating this platform where we can share, about our experience and hopefully leverage it to empower other women, because empowered women empower the world. And so to your question, Dominique, the digital revolution, it's an incredible opportunity for the entire world, including Africa. And I think it's just like education, it's one of the greatest equalizers, because once you have access to the internet, you suddenly have access to an extraordinary wealth of information and knowledge. And so like every other opportunity, it's all about how you seize it. And I think in our African context, the major priority is how do we accelerate digital inclusion in Africa to ensure that a maximum number of Africans can actually get on the platform, participate in this digital revolution, and also leverage it to accelerate the continent's progress.
Great. And how did you put digital at the heart of your action in your department at the African Development Bank?
Well, like I was telling you when we spoke, I don't think digital is an end in itself. It's a very powerful means. It's a great accelerator. And we see the potential across the board, whether it's with education, health, citizens' participation. I was just listening with a lot of attention to all the previous Margarets that shared how they were leveraging technology to basically have a positive impact on society. So that's what digital can do. So to me, we all have to think about how we can leverage technology in our different spheres and our different areas of work in order to have better results and more impact. So at the African Development Bank, I'll just give you a couple of examples. We really want to connect women across the continent and to connect them to information, to access to finance, but to information and to network. So we've supported countries to create a platform that we called 50 Million African Women Speak, that right now is developed across over 30 countries on the continent and really aims to connect women to each other within value chains so they can do business together, so they can coach and mentor each other, but also connection to information and knowledge in general. knowledge about where you can have training, where you can access finance, these kinds of things. We have another exciting initiative called Fashionomics Africa, which looks at how we can strengthen the value chains from the cotton farms to the retail stores in the fashion industry on the continent. But one of the major impediments for designers and entrepreneurs is, yes, access to finance, but also access to market. So to help cope with that, we've created an online platform called Makes Africa Online Marketplace, which again provides access to information, but also has e-commerce capabilities and suddenly helps them start trading online. We're also talking to the likes of DHL and UPS to see how we can accelerate logistics on the continent and deal with some of these other barriers. But these are examples that show how technology is helping us to solve some of the challenges that we're facing in new ways.
But you argue, Vanessa, that digital is an accelerator of development, you told, in Africa especially. But how do you deal with the fact that many Africans do not have access to digital?
Yeah, and that's our biggest problem right now. And as I mentioned before, I think it's urgent that we accelerate digital inclusion. And that starts with massive investment in digital infrastructure. However unsexy that is, that means building all those cables that help us deploy the technology. So at the African Development Bank, we're supporting countries to look at how we can invest in that as a sector of priority. It means we're also engaging the governments on policy dialogue to ensure that the digital question is on top of the agenda. Also engaging the private sector so that they can invest. And as you know, many companies are seeing Africa as the next big consumer base to tap into. So how do we do that, ensuring African citizens' best interests are kept at the heart of any project? And so that's what we're working with. But like you said, until everybody's online, this will remain another means of inequality, another divide. We talk about the digital divide. I was listening to colleagues before talking about even digital rights. And I think we're getting to a stage where it's a matter of having rights. Access to information is a right for citizens globally. And if now the digital revolution is ensuring better access, we need to make sure that everybody is on the same foot of equality.
Vanessa, concretely for all women who are listening to us and who want, for example, to raise funds for projects, what can they do? What can you tell them?
Yeah, so, you know, from the African Development Bank's perspective, we work at the wholesale level, like we say. So we work with governments and the private sector at large, because that's the only way through which we can have impact at scale for the entire continent at once. If we were to deal with each individual, we could never have the bandwidth to do that. And a lot of what we do is working with the governments to ensure that the investments are made in key sectors that have impact, particularly on women. And that's different in every country. I'll give you the example of my home country, Chad, where we recently supported the renovation of an entire high school for girls, 1,000 girls, now equipped with access to this critical education in a country where over 70% of women cannot read or write. So that's one example of what we're doing. But you also have the specific targeted initiatives, like the one we're working on for access to finance for women in Africa. It's called AFAWA. And the goal is to bridge the gap in access to finance, basically. So without getting into the details, part of that work is also working directly with governments to reform the laws that prevent private sector participation for women. For example, in some of our countries, you cannot open a bank account without the authorization of your father or your husband. In some of our countries, you cannot inherit from your parents. Therefore, you'll never have anything in your own name that you can use to borrow money against at the bank. These are laws that are fundamental and that need to change. Those are hard conversations to be had. And I think the African Development Bank has a responsibility as the development bank of the continent, the development institution of the continent, to be having those conversations. So I know it's high level, however, it's necessary. And I want all women out there on the continent particularly to know that there's a tribe of warriors within the walls of the African Development Bank that is working very hard for them to see how we can innovate within the system, how we can support our governments to make better investment decisions, to make the right ones, to scale them up, but most importantly, how we can improve the quality of life for everyone on the continent.
Vanessa, I have a $1 million question for you. Is it easy for you as a woman at the African Development Bank to convince, these old men, old African politicians that it's very important to promote women on the continent?
Very good question. Easy? It depends. I always say, anyway, nothing grand is easy. So we should never shy away from any objectives, any goals, just because they seem difficult. In fact, I would say tackle them. If you have the energy, invest it. Nothing grand is easy. So some of these conversations are harder than others. However, I have to say, I see a big momentum taking place globally, but also on the African continent. This is no longer, rowing against the current. No. Women and gender equality is at the heart of any conversations you tune into on the continent right now. Our leaders know that this can no longer be ignored. So I think we need to seize the opportunity of it being on top of the agenda, the global agenda, the African agenda, whether it's the gender equality conversation or the digital inclusion conversations. All of these have the same objective, ensuring equal access to opportunity for all. And so we need to continue fighting for this. I see Delphine is coming up, so I guess we're coming to the end, but I look forward to continuing this conversation.
Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt, but just, by the time I come on stage, but this is, and I used to work for IBM for 15 years, and Ginny Rometty, who is the CEO of IBM, used to say growth and comfort never coexist.
Exactly.
And so even if it's going to be difficult, we need to go through it to make it happen. And Vanessa, you demonstrating that so well. So thank you so much for Dominique for interviewing Vanessa here, and we will do a lot more and spend more time. And the project Afawa is a great one, and we still take questions on Facebook, Twitter, and if you want, perhaps Dominique, maybe for the last question, which is how can people technically, women go onto Afawa platform to
yes, maybe Afawa, because we have not talked a lot about Afawa. Maybe if you have a few words to add, Vanessa, about Afawa, because I think many people are interested in this program.
Absolutely. So maybe just in a nutshell, and also happy Dominique and Delphine, if we want to host a separate conversation with anyone who wants online on that. Afawa is Africa's largest effort in its history to bridge the gap in access to finance for women. That's it. It's our largest resource mobilization effort. So we've mobilized the world behind us to support African women. And so what this program will do is very simple to describe in 3 pillars. Number 1, access to finance. Women are perceived as riskier. So if you're a woman and you walk into a bank on this continent, you're more likely to be in the informal sector. You will be perceived as a riskier investment, whereas we have data that shows they repay more, they repay better, over 98%. So we will guarantee the loans made to them. We'll put our money where our mouth is. That's one. But secondly, we'll also provide capacity building services. So trainings for women across the continent, depending on their level, of course, in business. I'm particularly focusing on the women at the bottom of the pyramid, as much as I hate this expression, but the women of the markets, let's say, that sell every day, that go from one day to the other, that sell tomatoes, and that if they could have a little loan to buy a machine, could transform these tomatoes into juice and have less loss every day, make more money, and maybe employ one person. But that person may know how to run their small business, but they may not have the business and financial acumen to respond to the commercial bank's requirements. So we'll support them on that. And the third pillar is on the policy. I alluded to it earlier, but it's government dialogue to ensure that the enabling environment is there. This entire program will be rolled out this year. We're starting the implementation. In fact, we were hoping to be on the road already. The coronavirus maybe has put us on hold, but definitely not stopped us. So we're coming to your countries. The plan is to be in all 54 countries on the continent within the next 5 years. Our website will provide information on all the participating financial institutions. So the African Development Bank is not the one that can give you the loan directly, but will be able to direct you to all the participating institutions so that we can ensure that they're keeping their promise. So that's what Afawa is about in a nutshell. Stay tuned, because I really think it will revolutionize the continent when it comes to access to finance for women.
Thank you so much, Vanessa. We will stay tuned and we will see and check this program afterward.
Thank you.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Dominique. And nothing can put you on hold, Vanessa. Not even the COVID-19. I think nothing can put you on hold. So thank you so much and congratulations. And thank you for all this energy and all the support you're giving to the women in the world to grow and to scale and to create businesses. So with no further ado, because I know we're running a little late here, I'm going to invite Anne-Marie Rocco, who is on stage. Hello, Anne-Marie. Thank you so much for joining us today. And to invite our Margaret Entrepreneur Europe, Karen Vernet. She's the director. Hi, Karen.
Hi.
Director e-commerce of Printemps.com. And she's a wonderful woman. For those who has read this morning challenge, Anne-Marie Rocco has done an amazing interview about Karen and explained how 4 days before the confinement, she launched for Printemps.com an amazing and very inclusive website. But I'm going to let you ladies have a duo like we were supposed to have one in Maison de la Radio. Nothing will stop us and nothing will stop those women. So over to you, ladies.
Thank you. So of course we're back to Paris now with Karen Vernet. Karen has been working for the Groupe Printemps since more than 10 years, I think.
Yes.
And 2 years ago she was in charge. She began to be in charge of the e-commerce activity, and during 2 years you worked on it, and you opened it on March the 12th, which means about 4 days before Paris was on lockdown. So it's a nice story. Can you tell us something about it?
Yes. Thank you so much. So yes, I'm in charge of a part, just a precision, I'm in charge of the part of the e-commerce of Printemps. This is the part of the dedicated to the luxury and designer segment. Yes, Printemps.com it's beautiful story, because who could imagine that we will launch in such a situation that is absolutely dramatic, but in such situation it shows that there is always a sunshine that is here, because we are working and we are alive, and it's beautiful. This is a beautiful story that began 2 years ago with a blank paper, because we start from scratch, and with a wonderful idea that was to bring something new and something fresh in the world of luxury and fashion. And this is a hard job, because, as you know, this world is so
very competitive.
Yes, it's so competitive. It's also very very professional, with the target which is very high, with pure players on this part that are so big and so powerful. And if we have stuck on the fact that yes, there's nothing to do because the competitors are so high, we would be dead from the beginning. So we start with another idea, that is to say, we have something to do in this world, and we want to propose something disruptive, something that is really new in terms of vision, in terms of execution, and in terms of like a new aesthetic on the e-commerce. And what inspired us at that time, it was the fact that the world is changing. The world will never be like it was, and the young generations are absolutely different from the generations of the generation X, for example, and they are absolutely convinced that they want to live in a world that is more inclusive, that is more personalized, so more closer to people, and also more attentive to people, so more care, we can say. And these conclusions have been absolutely important for us, because it was the basis of the whole project. And we decided to start a journey that was very long and very short. Very long because, you know, when you are in such a project, it's difficult. We have to face up, down, and what is very important in this situation is to stick to a vision, to be very, very determined, and to believe in our dream. So it was I think the main quality that we kept, that we have
to invent something new.
Yes.
Compared with what existed before.
Exactly.
And as this prize is made for women who change the world, you had to change something in the way big stores sell their
exactly.
their products.
Exactly. And what we wanted to change is the fact that digital was very cold, or is very cold generally, and it's the main reproach that we are talking about the digital. And we wanted to give a new experience to clients, an experience which is absolutely more human, that is more inclusive, that is more personalized, and that is more, we can say, kind and gentle. And this inclusivity was concretely realized in things that seems to be very, very simple, but that is very difficult to execute. For example, the fact that we are showing the models in real situation with their faces, and we are showing models that are so different, that are expressing this inclusivity, such as differences in terms of geographical origins, color, yes, of skins, ages, morphologies, and so on. And it's very simple to say, oh yes, I'm inclusive, but it's very difficult to execute. And to execute also in an aesthetic way. And we strongly believe in this inclusivity, and we also put on your side new way to present fashion. For example, we promote the inclusivity in terms of body morphologies, because we managed to have new brands that are very, very inclusive in terms of sizes. That propose these brands like Universal Standard or Estée Manas or brands like that. They propose a new vision of fashion that is absolutely more respectful and inclusive, and it's great.
It's also age, and it's also different women, men showing things together.
Exactly. And what is really new, it's also the fact that we represent a segment, like a section in the site that is permanent, and it's not opportunistic. It's really permanent. It's a mixed section. It's like it's a sort of genderless section, and it's really new in the fact that nobody presented like us. We are showing models in couples, so one man and one woman who were the same garments, the same garments. So it's really new, it's really fresh, and young generation love this. It's fantastic to see the reactions of positive reactions of clients.
Yeah. I'm curious to know. I know that it's difficult for you to give numbers, but what was the reaction as this website was launched during this very particular period? Did it grow very quickly, or?
Yes, it's growing weeks after weeks. We are improving the turnover, and the turnover. Yes, we have to say and be honest that it's not the expected turnover that we expected from if we were, for example, in a situation that is not the situation of today, and also with the activity of our store, because as you know the store are closed now.
Are closed, so yes. It was an opportunity to get your
it's an opportunity, but it's also because the link between a strong link of omni-channel business, so a strong link between the stores and the digital. So it could have been something that is very negative, but despite these bad conditions, the site is improving the turnover weeks after weeks, and we are very happy with that, because it proves that there is an indefectible link between Printemps and the client, and that also that we are very happy to see that we are recruiting new consumers that are younger and that are new to simply in a simple way.
Do you think that this crisis will have an important impact on the way people live the fashion and luxury? Is it going to change something?
Yes, it will change this. Nobody knows exactly what it will change, because it's such a crisis and such something that is absolutely not predictable. So it's difficult to say the consumer after the crisis will be like this, and nobody can tell it. But we imagine that there will have something that is totally new in terms of consideration of fashion, of essential things in life, and maybe people will say, no, we focus more now, we are focusing more on essential things, but maybe also there is a huge opportunity to say, no, now we have to enjoy life, and things that are absolutely unpredictable can arrive right now. So if we don't enjoy life, we will have a very difficult time. So it can be also a huge opportunity for the future, and also for the way to consider the fashion and luxury in a very inclusive way.
Definitely. So
well, I see Delphine, so
no, I just wanted to but carry on, Anne-Marie, because I just wanted to say, launching a website of this kind 5 days before the confinement, and keeping it going, showing that actually the promise was kept, which is about sharing talking with the community, and this is important to show that digital has shown through this crisis that it can still happening.
Exactly, and also what is very noticeable in this site, it's not a classical site in the fact that it's not only a product catalog with lots of brands that are always the same and so on. It's absolutely not this. If you are coming on printemps.com, you discover things. So there's a sort of curiosity that is really well valorized, and also we promote a lot the editorial part, and this is absolutely key. Because in a period where the people are maybe more stressed, or that are thinking about things that are different, they are searching for interesting articles from also the news that are very different, and not only on fashion.
Yeah.
When we talked together last week, you told me that you wanted
also could be architecture. Exactly, we wanted to mix the fashion the fashion product with the editorial part, and it's very important in the project. Very important.
And I think, you know, just as a wrap up here, I think we all need to think and get ready for the first day we will be coming out of our lovely houses. We love them very much, but you know, very much looking forward to get out and start again. And we need to get ready for this. And so, you know, having the printemps.com showing all this optimism and showing that it's, you know, we can get ready and we can prepare for it. I think it's great, and we need that. Good energy, good vibes. And again, it's physical distancing, not social distancing, and printemps.com is showing that and being very inclusive. And I know it's values that are very important for Anne-Marie, and I'm glad that you have this duo together, that you had this moment together, which is the magic of GFD as well, because you're sharing those values. And Anne-Marie has been very, very vocal about this, helping us with the manifesto of this digital inclusive world. So thank you so much, ladies. Anne-Marie, did you want to say something to wrap up? One last question for Karen, and then we move on to our next Margaret of the Year, Entrepreneur of Africa.
Maybe we have lost the connection.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Karen,
and
congratulations. We're presenting this Generation GFD of women, you know, changing in large enterprise and large companies is also showing a lot of leadership, and it's a way of doing entrepreneurship. And
and just as a conclusion, but to finish and to have just few words for the team, because it's very, very important to dedicate the prize to the team, because alone I can't do anything. It's my role to set the vision, to be stick to the cap, and to animate to have the project with a huge leadership. But I'm so grateful for the teams, and the internal ones, and also the external ones, the partners that help us to make this happen. So thanks again to the teams.
Yes, behind you there is all these teams that are in the background, and they, you know, we are nothing without a great team, and I know what I'm talking about, because there is a lot of them behind in the background making this happen. So definitely, and congratulations, because this is really very much the values of the GFD. So congrats, Karen. I see you very soon, and I'm getting ready for the first day on printemps.com myself.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye. So I'm going to introduce to you for our next and last but not least duo, which we're hoping to have as a duo. Dunia from Africa News Agency had to leave to go on a show on live, but we have Jacqueline Mukarukundo, who is the co-founder of West Zone. He's going to come on stage. Let me introduce you to her while she's getting ready to go on stage. And I want to thank Dunia Ben Mohamed from Africa News Agency, who was supposed to be doing this duo with her, who had to leave. Really thank you, Dunia, because Africa News Agency is a partner of GFD and has been really helping for all those women to have a voice, and thank you for that. So Jacqueline Mukurando, she's the co-founder of and chief marketing officer at West Zone. It's a Rwandan clean tech startup that is leveraging technology to create a West-free world. Our zeal in marketing led West Zone to emerge as the best e-West solution provider in East Africa in 2019. So before joining West Zone, she immersed in a marketing career at Wilmez Limited, and she worked at a student-run platform called Compedia as social media and brand manager. So her work earned a recognition such as a SDG Competition Award at SDG Summer School, Geneva and Learning Planet Assembly Award. During her time in Geneva, she co-founded Help Us Info and SDG Education Awareness startup that is currently promoting awareness on SDGs. Jacqueline is a member of the Clinton Global Initiative University, a global leadership development program initiated by President Clinton. And she's pursuing international business and trade at the African Leadership University. So she's going to be coming up on stage from Rwanda. I'm hoping we're just having some technical difficulties here to get up live, but this is just internet connection. So that is giving us some slight problem here. If I can't have her on stage in a second or two, I'm gonna wrap up here, and you're gonna be able to meet Jacqueline differently. I also wanted to say that Laura Tenuji was supposed also to join us. You all know Laura Tenuji. She was with us at the Folie Bergère 4th edition of the Digital Woman Day. And when we were asking her what digital woman means for her, who is a digital woman, she said a woman who feels happy in her basket, in her shoes. And I think we all should have a definition of what brings us together today and throughout all those initiatives. Let's test having Jacqueline, and if that fails, we're just gonna wrap up. So Jacqueline, please, I just really want to say congratulations. She's the Margaret 22 category Entrepreneur of the Year and the jury has selected a project that is a very important project to make the world better and with less waste. So Jacqueline, is Jacqueline coming? Okay, so we're just gonna wrap up, and I'm really sorry about not having Jacqueline here, but I wanted to say really to wrap up here that for several weeks now, more than half of the world's population has been confined. And as we prepare for deconfinement overshadowed by the threat of an economic crisis, digital technology has proven during the crisis to be the solution to boost employment and build a technology that has proven during this crisis that is going to build a fairer world. So while women are still in minority in the digital world, Les Margaret, these role models that you met today are making a difference and are ready to lead a new generation in their wake, the GFD generation. So thank you so much for all the support. I want to thank all the partners, Le Groupe La Poste and Nathalie Collin, of course, our godmother, Orange, L'Oréal, Microsoft France and Microsoft Africa, Total, EDF, World Bank, PayPal, Adobe, Région Île-de-France, Vitra, Transdev, Lenovo, Dentsu Aegis Network, Organisation internationale de la francophonie, Google, Dassault Systèmes, and all our ecosystem partners. Thank you. You know, we did the GFD today. The 8th edition is going to be a very digital edition. So stay tuned for the next rendezvous that we will give you. Obviously, during the confinement, it's going to be behind our screen. And furthermore, to celebrate Africa, that we were supposed to be in Rwanda early July. So we'll see what's going to happen next. But I'm really delighted to have that ceremony award with you all, and I hope you enjoyed that. And if you have any question, and if you want to meet with Les Margarettes 2020, there will be a wrap-up that shows you again their names. They are wonderful, they are powerful, they are inspiring, and they are changing the world. Thank you, and see you soon.